My name is Charleszine Terry Nelson. My nickname is Terry, and that's what most people that have worked with me during the Blair Caldwell times. Otherwise, I know that they've known me for a long time. If they call me by Charleszine, they've known me clear back to high school. I'm a native of Denver, and I went to Wyman Elementary School. Original building is torn down, but the new one's there. I went to Morey Junior High School, and it's still there. And I graduated from Manual High School. And then I got a bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology from the University of Colorado. And then I have a master's degree in library science from Emporia College. And I have received an honorary doctorate degree from Denver Urban University. So that's my educational background. I have two grown daughters, one grandson, and my daughters both live here in Colorado, in Denver, not too far from me, so I can get to them when I need them. And they're very helpful to old mama. I worked at the library 45 years, and I had all kinds of different positions, supervisor, manager, and I ended up being the special collections and community resource manager for the Blair Caldwell Library that we built in 2003. We completed it. It took a year to build it. It was built by venture capitalist funds. And I think a few things the city council, but we had lots of donors who helped put the little special touches on the library. And it is one of the most beautiful libraries here in the city and county of Denver, in addition to the state of Colorado. Many people thought we were an office building located in the cultural historic district of Five Points, which is the large just community of African Americans in city and county of Denver. Five Points is full of so much history. It is amazing. And of course, the entertainment piece of Five Points had the casino ballroom and of course the Rossonian. Rossonian was for the upper class folks, and the casino was for the everyday folks. And you'll hear many stories about how George Morrison, who bought the casino and started having entertainment there, he had a place in West Denver, and the Ku Klux Klan told him if he couldn't be there, so he needed to get out of there or they were going to burn the place down. And Mr. Morrison's family also suffered the fact that they were building a house on Gilpin, and the Ku Klux Klan burned the foundation 2 or 3 times. In that same area, you hear the historical churches, Zion Baptist Church, which is documented as the oldest African American church in the city of Denver, and then Shorter AM. Those two were where almost, most of the population started at, and they attended at Sacred Heart too. Those 3 were the big churches in the area. So the history there it talks about the beginning of the civilization, basically, in all of that part of the city. We'll start with its beginnings. Yes. January 19th, 1865 was when President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which told the United States citizens that the slaves were free. And because of that, they had all the privileges and honors that any other citizen had, which of course caused, quite an uproar. And the state of Texas is where the celebration piece really came in, because Texas did not find out that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed to free the slaves for 2 years. So they didn't find out until January 1 of 1863. And the farmers and the slave owners wanted to keep those slaves so they didn't know about what was going on, because they wanted them to, after they heard about the emancipation, they wanted them to bring in the last crop. And that allowed, with those people still being there, they had enough staff to do the work that they wanted to do the work for the Juneteenth. And then after that 2 years in Texas, they really blew it up, and people left Texas and spread the word all over the United States. There are some special states, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alabama. And this proclamation allowed 250,000 slaves to be freed. And the celebration was some kind of celebration, and it grew and grew. But a couple of interesting factors about Juneteenth in the olden days were many of these slaves would go and they had big festivals and picnics, very family oriented. The family told stories about, the elders told stories to the youngsters about how their life was, hoping to make their life better. And the elders would come all dressed up in the ragged clothes that the slave owners had given them. And generally they were by a river or something in a big park with a celebration. And they would take those old dirty ragged clothes off and throw them as to get rid of a signal of getting rid of the poverty and mistreatment they had been a part of, and had their best on. They wore their best clothes and had a big celebration. That was to kind of wash away the sadness of what slavery and they had participated in. At these Juneteenth celebrations, for the beginning of the celebration of Juneteenth, allowed to eat the kinds of food that the slave owners had kept them from eating. They got to have the better parts of the cow and the chicken and the lamb and all of that. And I knew that the parts that they ate, they made really good food out of it. And now they're specialties. It's hard to believe. And this was a leftover kind of food. And you couldn't go. And that's why all the people, almost all of them, had gardens of their own. So they had a lot of fresh vegetables and that kind of thing, which was quite healthy for them. The slaves, because they weren't allowed to eat those things in the slave owners' houses where they did the cooking now, but they couldn't eat the good parts of the beef and all of that. So that was a really good, a fun little factoid. And the general who was to come and have his community to tell the people in Texas about what was going, he kept telling them, I don't have enough soldiers to ride that far to tell these people. So this is why it took 2 years for the people of Texas to hear about it. But the celebration in Colorado was brought to us by Otha Rice and another person from Texas named Big Al. They called him Big Al. They were the ones who organized Juneteenth and really blew it up to start on 5 Points in the historic district of 5 Points. And all down the street of Welton, they had parades and funny cars, and the city and county participated, and they had all the things, the fire trucks and all of that, and the political people who were running for office came and walked in the parade and threw candy to the kids, and people just waited for June 16th so that they could come out and they looked forward to this. We keep the parades, we keep the church concerts. I mean, this is all cultural for the African American community, but the whole community has participated in. They had phenomenal numbers of people to come from the whole community to hear and see what happened on historical Welton Street. It went from 20th clear down to the end to 30th. In front of the bus stop is there now. RTD had a bus stop there in front of the Black American West Museum on California. That's kind of where it sort of stopped. But they've gathered every year at Manual High School at that Fuller Park. It was a 3-day celebration. So Colorado is very well known for its huge Juneteenth uh, holiday and festivities. And so they had a big church, always they had a big church sing out, and at the end of Juneteenth it usually ended with a big church concert, and the choirs would participate. People look forward to all of that. So it was celebratory as a day of emancipation for African Americans in slavery.